He said, come on, Dad. He didn't start texting his friends. But for some reason, with all due respect, Dr. Morton and Mr. Berger stood here and tried to suggest to you that by them telling municipalities that they have to revise all of their municipal development plans, regional land use bylaws, intermunicipal development plans, management plans, area structure plans, subdivision plans to comply with the Cabinet's wishes, that somehow they're respecting municipalities. That's simply not what the law says. I'm not talking about intentions, I'm talking about the actions. And if you don't think that was the intention, or you heard about, oh, don't worry, we can't touch area structure plans. This is, Mr. Hancock, please take note of section 1 sub W, because you will see that regulatory instrument includes a bylaw of a local government. Those of us who practice land use planning law know that an area structure plan is what? A bylaw of a local government. So don't try and suggest to me that an area structure plan can't be rescinded or amended by Cabinet. Anybody in the land development business knows the critical money phase on development is what? Not buying the land, it's getting the area structure plan. Because that determines how much land you can develop, how the density, what's going to be industrial, what's going to be low density residential, you know, etc. That's the money level. Well, guess what? They've got the power to amend that. So if you've got an industrial park that's half built out, and they don't want you to finish it, they've got the power to do just like they did to those oil sands company and rescind your area structure plan with no entitlement to compensation, and I could walk you through in painful detail why there's no entitlement to compensation. It even goes as far, according not only to me, but Professor Kwasniak from the University of Alberta Law School, down to subdivision plans. And this little removal of section 9.2f they referred to does absolutely nothing. Now look at this. So this was all an accident, right? Well, look at this baby. Consequential Amendment, section 570 of the Municipal Government Act. This says that the Minister of SRD can take steps to ensure that every municipality goes through and amends all its planning documents to bring them into compliance with the Cabinet's wishes from the regional plan. But it occurred to them that maybe the municipalities might not want to do this. So look at the powers they gave themselves. And somebody try and convince me this drafting was an accident. Look what it says. Eric, can you push that table forward? I can't read that. Just thanks. It says that the minister may take any necessary actions. So if the municipality doesn't comply with the Nelson Regional Plan, the minister may take any necessary measures to ensure that the municipal authority complies. All necessary measures includes, without limitation, an order by the minister suspending the authority of the council to make bylaws. So they can take your locally elected municipality and strip their bylaw making authority from them, and now the minister in Edmonton gets to make the decisions. How does that make you feel?
Disenfranchised.
They can also, the minister then from Edmonton, from the legislature, can exercise bylaw making authority with respect to any matters. And get this, if you don't get the drift, what's the last one say, for those of you who can read it? Withholding money otherwise payable to government and municipal authority. So when Dr. Morton stood here and said to you, you know, we're going to respect municipalities, I have to believe that was his intention. And remember what I told you at the start. Intentions don't count. Actions do. This is what I'm concerned about. So, don't worry. You've got a regional advisory committee. Section 5 used to say, and any of you who've seen my talk know what it says. Section 5 said, the Cabinet can make or amend a regional plan whether or not a regional advisory committee has been appointed. It said whether or not, and if there has been one appointed, that they didn't have to follow their advice, and it even went as far, you remember this, to say they didn't even have to consider it, which legally meant they didn't even have to read it. And they kept telling you, oh, don't worry, these regional advisory committees, they're going to be the center point of everything. So they've replaced it with the new Section 5. And it says that the minister shall satisfy himself that he's consulted. And that he shall report to the Executive Council, which is a branch of the Premier's office, that he's done so. And the Executive Council shall lay that before the legislature. That's in Bill 10. Okay, well, so what's he going to do? Call his mom? And say I was good enough? What do you think, Mom? Think we should take a bunch of oil sands leases away? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, consult it. Now, of course that's ridiculous. But what if he did? There's no accountability here. This is government controlling everything. There's no criteria. There's no assessment of adequacy of the consultation. For example, before an oil company, an oil sands company, can build an upgrader in Fort Saskatchewan, it has to do extensive consultation. There's a whole Directive 56 that's the thickness of a big binder that they have to follow. And they have to prove that they followed it to the ERCB. And I get to go there and try and argue that they didn't. You follow me? There's a process, there's criteria, there's a decision-making process. All of these amendments circle right back. You heard about the new appeal provisions. Oh, we got new appeal provisions. If you don't like what the minister did, you complain to the minister. He will pick 3 people to hear the complaint about you. And they will make a report to him. Mr. Hancock, take a look to see what powers that advisory committee has. You'll see there's none. So all they can do is report. It doesn't say they can uphold the minister's decision. It doesn't say they can vary it or even overturn it. The hallmark of a true appeal. Okay? So again, great intentions, complete failure on the follow-through. I found this quote, and I couldn't find who said it, but I think it puts in perspective. But will these powers, these unprecedented powers that the cabinets give themselves, will they be used and abused? And this quote says, the problem isn't the abuse of power, it's the power to abuse. Give politicians power, and it certainly will be abused eventually, if not by today's politicians, then by their successors. On April 5th, 2001, the government announced its plans to rescind dozens of oil sands leases. As I've said to you before, if they're willing to do that, do you really think they're going to pause too long to take away your grazing license or grazing lease, etc., your water rights, or your gravel permit? You know, what happened? Sorry, Joe, I'm racing ahead on you here, but I think you're keeping up with me. Globe and Mail, Alberta Conservation Plan stuns oil patch. Here's a list of all the companies that had the government's announced that they're going to rescind. Thank you. So, but you remember, Dr. Morton said, oh, no, it's okay. We've got this process where we notify them, and they've got an opportunity to develop an alternative, a workaround. Remember that? Remember that? Well, did you read anything about the government giving the oil sands guys a chance to do a workaround? No, they just said we're going to rescind if the final plan goes through, and we'll go straight to compensation. So I thought there was going to be all this notice and chance to work around. But what it illustrates is, how the heck is the oil company going to work around the decision to suspend their license? What if the government says to you, we want to cancel your water, we're going to rescind your water license, and you've got 30 days to tell us how you're going to achieve the outcome by a different way? Then they just got to say, no, it's not good enough. See, these are not the types of processes that a parliamentary democracy that's respectful of citizen rights puts in. Next slide. It just talks about the... Look at this one. This is a political commentator from Calgary Herald, Mr. Berger. Banana Republic claim peels back policy questions. Thanks, Joe. But what's critical in there is that one of the governing party's own MLAs, the former Minister of Justice, has come out and said, I've got some concerns about Bill 36, that it doesn't achieve the right balance, we need to do a rethink. And in fact, in this, once these oils, she said that before the oil sands were rescinded, she's since come out and said this is what she was worried about would happen, and the uncertainty it creates for the investment community. That's been one of my main concerns about this legislation, is you not knowing when your rights can be taken away can severely affect you. Here's the new section that I found when I read the regulation over the weekend. It says, so this is the new regulation implementing, draft regulation to implement the regional plan. And it says, management response. If the designated minister determines that the trigger or limit has been exceeded, the designated minister must direct the appropriate official in the designated minister's government department to initiate a management response consistent with the framework. And it goes on to say the person responsible, that will be you, so the landowner, the company owner, the mine operator, whatever, the grazing lease rancher, the person responsible shall comply with the lawful directions of the officials in respect of a management response referred to in subsection 1. When you read this in the context, the idea is that if they think you're doing something on your farm that's